Up until I turned 26, I spent that all investing in my career. From 26 on, I've invested in me. And, you know, my spirituality, my recovery, my marriage, my family, that's what I've invested in. I've done, and a lot of it has been, hard. And I've never been happier, professionally or personally. And I feel like I have the right mix of ambitious restlessness and contentment.
Where the hell you think you're going?
I don't know, man.
Just like sometimes I have to get out. It's like I'm a middleman in a tug of war or something between you guys.
Rob Lowe has been entertaining audiences for more than 4 decades. And today, the 57-year-old actor, best-selling author, loving husband, and devoted father of 2 has never been busier. Performing his one-man show, Stories I Only Tell My Friends Live, hosting 2 podcasts, Park and Recollection, and Literally.
It was the most incredible thing of my life, one of them.
And starring in Season 3 of 911 Lone Star, which premiered earlier this month.
All right, everybody, let's go.
It's highly likely I'll have 2 weeks off in the next 2 years, the way my schedule is right now. And I love it. Listen, I'm so grateful that, I mean, to hear myself say it, if when I was 15 and started out on my first TV series, that I'd be 57 and be doing what I do, I would have thought the odds were pretty stacked against me. And I'm, you know, it's a miracle. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not thankful about it.
Rob grew up in Dayton, Ohio, but at 12 moved with his family to Malibu, California.
I remember that like it was yesterday. They took us. You should usually go from LAX to Malibu going up the coast, but they drove us all the way into the valley so I wouldn't see the Pacific Ocean until we came over the crest of Canaan Road. Driving over Canaan, singing to my soul, because the people out there turn the music into gold, as Stevie Nicks says. And I was like, it was like the Wizard of Oz. I was like Dorothy in Oz. I mean, I was so excited to be in Southern California because I wanted to be an actor already. Had spent years already thinking about it and couldn't believe that I was there. And it was everywhere. There were people shooting Charlie's Angels at my elementary school. Long way from Dayton.
After landing a string of television roles, Rob made his big screen debut in 1983, playing Soda Pop Curtis in Francis Ford Coppola's coming-of-age drama, The Outsiders.
You know, I wish that you could concentrate on something else just once in a while.
Why don't you concentrate on girls and cars? Works for me.
One of the things about having kids is you get to relive your own life through watching them. And I look at my boys, you know, when they were 17, and I thought, is he ready to go star in a movie with Francis Ford Coppola on location? Is he ready to leave home to do that? And the answer is, no, he's not. And then I look at my boys when they're 18, and I go, are they ready to be international sex symbols? Nope. Are they ready to have people offering them drugs and alcohol and free swag and no rules everywhere they go all the time at 18? And the answer is no, they're not. So I can only assume that I wasn't either.
We're all we got left now. If we don't have each other, you end up like Dallas. I don't mean dead either. I mean how he was before.
People talk about how the industry has changed. Warner Brothers would provide beer in the van at Rap for 15-year-old Tommy Howell and 17-year-old Rob. I mean, that just, people didn't, it was just a different world. Can you imagine today?
Now don't you start balling too, Pony.
In 1985, Rob played Billy Hicks in another coming-of-age drama, St. Elmo's Fire, which sealed the 21-year-old actor's status as one of the hottest young heartthrobs in Hollywood.
Hey. Okay, you're under arrest. Watch the sex. Do you believe in premarital sex?
St. Elmo's was the first time that I got to play, you know, a character with some sort of rough edges. And, you know, he was a bad boy. And before that, I played sort of good, sort of wholesome-ish characters, but I always had, you know, more of a conflict in me and had more sort of angst. I mean, there are actors that got cast all the time because they looked like they had angst. I don't look like I have any angst. So I never got cast in those parts until St. Elmo's.
Welfare recipients are getting better looking.
First of all, I love the character. I mean, what's not to love? It's the best character in that movie, and it's a fun, lovable rogue. The lovable rogue is pretty great.
Where did you meet Wendy again?
Prison.
And then the movie worked so well and became such a thing, and I became so identified with it, I talk about it in the book, I think. I kind of rode that character, but all actors do that. I think there are actors that get the right role at the right time in their lives, and they find it hard to leave behind, and it becomes sort of a part of them and vice versa sometimes. And that certainly was the case for me. You know, the wild, fun, rock and roll, quasi-debauched with the heart of gold. That's my early 20s in a nutshell.
Honey, this isn't real. You know what it is? It's St. Elmo's fire. Electric flashes of light that appear in dark skies out of nowhere.
Now it seems like, duh, no kidding. But it was sort of revolutionary for me to realize that the problem with early fame for me, the issue, was that I was still exactly the same person, but overnight everybody was treating me differently. And so I knew that all of the goodwill coming towards me wasn't really about me, because I didn't change. So you really can't accept it. I mean, look, there's also part of it that's like super fun. You know, I was, you know, in Santa Monica High School, and, you know, I really had to pick who I would invite to the junior prom because I didn't want to get turned down. And, you know, a year later, people were breaking into your house and stealing your underwear. And I hate returning to the same theme, but it's one of the great things great gifts of having kids. Is again, any parent will tell you, your kids must figure out their relationship with drugs and alcohol. It's part of growing up. So at the very moment that any kid is supposed to be figuring that out, I've got that gasoline on it of fame, self-doubt, and all of that stuff. And it was super fun and great while it lasted. It was awesome. I had a great time as a young, crazy man taking advantage of everything that was out there. And it took longer than I would have liked to learn that it wasn't for me. But I did it earlier than some.
Rob's awakening began in 1988 after his now infamous sex tape scandal, which involved a grainy home movie being leaked to the press that showed Rob in an Atlanta hotel room with two young women.
It's the best thing that ever happened to me because it started a process of self-reflection that ended a year later when my grandfather passed away and I was not able to fully participate for my family in the way I would have wanted to. And that's when I realized it was time to like, you know, get into recovery. My mom called me, and it was in the area of answering machines. And I would consistently have like, you have 75 messages. And I'd been out, it had been a late night, I'd been out, she called. I wasn't listening to the message, she was live, leaving the message, saying my grandfather, who's my beloved grandfather, had had a heart attack, he was in the hospital, could I pick up, blah, blah, blah. I didn't pick up. I couldn't pick up. I was, you know, I'd had a lot to drink or whatever. And my thought process was, I remember going into the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror, my thought process was, I need to drink directly from this bottle of Cuervo Gold. That tells you how long ago it was. Cuervo Gold was the creme de la creme. It was before every actor had their own tequila line. That's how long ago this was. My thought process is drink this bottle so you can go to sleep, so you can wake up, so you can deal with this. And like, out of all the things that have gone on in my life, that was the thing that finally I went, you know what? This is no way to live. And, you know, I went to rehab 48 hours later, and it was the best thing that ever happened. I loved being in rehab, and it made all the difference for me.
In 1990, Rob went to rehab and got sober. The following year, he and his wife, makeup artist Sheryl Burkhoff, were married.
I remember two things, and they seem pretty innocuous, but they keep coming up. One was she was one of the great makeup artists, and her clients were Al Pacino and people like that, and I was one of them, and she specialized in men. And I sat in her makeup chair, and she said, "How do you feel your character should look?" And I realized that's the first time anybody had ever looked at me, literally looked at me and asked me about how I felt about, and she went beyond how I looked. And I know that seems like it's a makeup artist's job, but you'd be surprised how many people they get me in the chair and they go, oh, well, here we go, throw some stuff on it. So she really sort of saw me. She saw me. And then when we were dating, I remember her coming over to my bachelor pad, and she was, now knowing that she has OCD, I go, oh, she just has OCD. But then I read way more into it, that she was arranging my coffee table books on my coffee table in this really beautiful way. And I'd never had anybody do anything like that for me before. Like, take time out to make my life beautiful. That was like a total novel concept for me.
Over the next 4 years, Sheryl and Rob welcomed their 2 children, Matthew Edward Lowe in 1993 and John Owen Lowe in 1995.
For me, it was like, there's no sense in getting married if you're not gonna have kids, for me. Like, just date or do what you're gonna do. So I knew that's why we had babies so fast after we got married. And I was, again, it's like I was so ready for that part of my life. I was so ready. And you know, I'm happy I lived the life that I lived because I have no regrets. I'm under no illusions. I have no fear of missing out on anything because I knew she was the right person for me. I didn't have one doubt about it. And I didn't have any doubt that she would be a great mother. I didn't have any doubt that we would be devoted parents. And I made moves to ensure that it happened when it didn't seem like was one of the first people I ever knew to move out of LA up to here to Santa Barbara. Now everybody's up here, but like I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone up here. I didn't have any social life, nobody, but I knew that it would be important for my children not to be involved in a city that is 100% predicated on show business.
The thing is, while there really are a great many things on which I can speak with authority, I'm not good at talking about the White House.
You're the White House Deputy Communications Director, and you're not good at talking about the White House?
Ironic, isn't it?
You know, I remember when I first moved to Santa Barbara and I was doing the West Wing, and I would drive back and forth from Warner Brothers to Santa Barbara, and it's 82 miles one way. And I would do that every day. And I did it, and sometimes I'd be home so late that the kids would be in bed, or I would get to kiss them, and that would be it. There was no time spent, but they knew I was there. And I felt like that was of value. Someone once told me early on, the more you invest in family and your kids, the more you'll be repaid. And I just, for whatever, listen, I've had a lot of good advice given to me that I didn't listen to. For whatever reason, I'll listen to that one. I also know that it's like, I also know that parents, no matter what, in some way are always going to their kids up. No matter how good you are, there's gonna be something. And I say this with all humility, I have no regrets in how I've raised my kids, but I promise you, in their most honest moment, they will tell you that it's not been easy. And I think it's what the nature of parenting and children is. It is by nature a fraught relationship, and I think it's by design, because I feel like we were super fortunate. I'm super grateful, and still, you know, it's complicated.
When Rob's son, John Owen, began to struggle with his own addiction issues, Rob was ready, but he also knew there was only so much he could do to help.
It's not so much the lineage, because everybody's got it in the family somewhere. And there's a theory that it skips generation. Clearly didn't with us, but I know the ism when I see it. I mean, I was always ready for the moment. And I do a lot of work with adolescents in recovery, and I do a lot of work with parents dealing with adolescents in recovery. I get profound satisfaction in helping people navigate that. And one of the things I tell the parents was, you know, your job is just, you can't get them sober. It's impossible. You can't get them to stop drinking, you can't get them to stop, you can't. All you can do, and believe me, it's enough, is you gotta keep them alive and/or keep them from doing something that changes their life irreparably in a bad way. That's it. That's all you can do. By the way, God bless you if you can do that. So once you know that, then you go, okay, well, what can I do? And that at least makes it a bit easier, but like what is hard is just hoping that the light goes on, you know, before something bad happens. That's super, that part's terrifying.
Luckily for John Owen, the light did go on, and in 2018, he was able to get sober, thanks in no small part to the love and support he received from his father.
I mean, it's one of the great gifts of my life to have Johnny in our club, in our wonderful, up, extraordinary club, and to give him his 1-year chip, for him to give me my 30-year chip. It defies articulation.
Today, both of Rob's boys have become successful young men. John Owen is a 26-year-old TV writer who's currently working on Rob's hit show 911 Lone Star, while his big brother Matthew is a 28-year-old attorney.
They're amazing. They're amazing. They're amazing young men. They just are. They're so different, and yet so alike. And I see myself in them. I see Sheryl in them, and it's like these shapeshifters where they're Sheryl one minute and they're me one minute, and then they're themselves, and I don't recognize who the hell they are, which is the best. It's pretty extraordinary to have them in my life. They're my favorite people in the world. They're the thing that I'm most proud of, but it's because it's who they are. Like, they're good men, and they're funny, hilarious. They're super smart, they're smart and they're super educated. Two super separate things. I also love their work ethic. They are worker grinders. They have no entitlement. And maybe that's genetic too, because one of the things I loved about Sheryl Lowe is I never met anybody with a harder work ethic than Sheryl Lowe. Never, anybody, still. Nobody works harder than Sheryl. And I admire that. I admire work. She saw things in me that nobody had ever seen before, for sure. And you know, that I'm 30 plus years into a marriage where I still think she's the hottest, sexiest, most beautiful, insane, complicated, entertaining person that I know, in addition to all the great mother stuff. And the way she runs my life, like, you know, that she knows how to keep me healthy, happy, comfortable, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.